Can you believe it? In the high-stakes world of professional hockey, where every general manager is supposedly a master strategist, how often do we see a diamond in the rough, a true game changer, potentially slip through a team's fingers? Are we on the cusp of witnessing one of the most baffling miscalculations in recent memory? A blunder so profound it could redefine the fortunes of two franchises and ignite a dynasty in Toronto. Because if the whispers are true, if the Los Angeles Kings are truly hesitant to fully embrace the electrifying potential of defenseman Brandt Clarke, then the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't just looking at an opportunity. They're staring at a golden ticket, a chance to acquire their very own version of the Edmonton Oilers' offensive juggernaut, Evan Bouchard. This isn't just a trade rumor. It's a potential seismic shift, a moment where a team's short-sightedness could become another's long-term triumph. For years, the Toronto Maple Leafs have been on a relentless quest to assemble a roster capable of not just competing, but dominating. They've chased stars, tinkered with lines, and scoured the league for that elusive piece that could elevate them from perennial contenders to undisputed champions. The hunger for a Stanley Cup in Toronto is palpable, a constant hum beneath the surface of every season. Now, an almost unbelievable scenario is unfolding, one that could hand them a generational talent on the blue line, a player who could fundamentally alter their trajectory for the next decade. Imagine a world where the Leafs secure a skilled right-shot defenseman still on his rookie contract, brimming with offensive upside, a player who could quarterback their power play for a decade and become a fan favorite for his dynamic play. This isn't a fantasy spun from the wildest dreams of Leafs Nation. It's the very real possibility of acquiring Brandt Clarke, a player whose trajectory mirrors that of one of the NHL's most explosive blueliners. The idea that the Kings might not fully grasp the gem they possess is almost too good to be true, and if there's even a remote chance, the Maple Leafs should be ready to pounce with the ferocity of a starred lion, leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit. The narrative surrounding Brandt Clarke in Los Angeles is frankly bewildering, a perplexing tale that leaves many scratching their heads. It's a story of a highly touted prospect, drafted 8th overall in 2021, who has shown undeniable flashes of brilliance, yet seemingly struggles to earn the full trust and unwavering commitment of the Kings brass. This isn't just about a young player finding his footing. It's about an organization's apparent ambivalence towards a talent that, to many, seems self-evident. Take, for instance, the recent comments from Kings GM Ken Holland in an interview with RG's James Murphy. Holland, while acknowledging Clarke as a really talented guy with a bright future, also admitted a surprising lack of familiarity. I mean, I've talked to people, Holland told Murphy. I've got to get a camp and watch. I've got to see him on the ice, and I've got to talk to him and have a meeting with him, and I've got to get a feel for I know the team, but I don't know the team, if you know what I mean. This isn't the ringing endorsement you'd expect for a player with Clarke's pedigree, a top 10 draft pick with offensive gifts. It sounds less like a general manager ready to build around a cornerstone, and more like someone still trying to figure out if the piece even fits into his puzzle. Is Holland merely playing coy, a seasoned executive trying to drive up the price in potential trade? Or is there a genuine and deeply concerning ambivalence within the organization regarding Clarke's true value, a fundamental misunderstanding of what they have in their possession? The plot thickens when you consider the coaching staff's perspective. Last season, Clarke exploded out of the gate, racking up an impressive 11 points in just 12 games. Any other team would be celebrating such a start, heralding the arrival of a future star, building hype and excitement around their promising young talent. Yet, Kings coach Todd McClellan seemed to pump the brakes on the excitement, offering a rather lukewarm assessment. He's a good offensive player. There's no question he just has to play a complete game. While every young defenseman has areas to improve, and a complete game is always the goal, this felt less like constructive criticism and more like a deliberate attempt to temper expectations rather than embrace the offensive fireworks Clarke was delivering. It almost felt like a subtle attempt to downplay his immediate impact. The most telling sign of the Kings' hesitancy, however, came in January when the Ontario native was made a healthy scratch. A healthy scratch for a player demonstrating such offensive prowess. A player still on his entry-level contract. A player with potential to be a franchise blueliner. It sends a chilling message. If the coach has misgivings and the general manager needs convincing, it creates a palpable sense of unease, a crack in the foundation that the Maple Leafs should be ready even eager to exploit. In a perfectly logical NHL, the mere thought of a team fumbling a player of Brandt Clarke's caliber would be laughable. Skilled, right-handed defensemen are not just rare, they are the most coveted currency in the league. The kind of player every general manager dreams of acquiring. They are the linchpins of modern power plays, the architects of offensive zone entries, and the drivers of transition. And when you factor in that Clarke is still on his rookie contract, offering incredible value and cost control for years to come, the Kings' apparent indecision becomes even more perplexing, bordering on incomprehensible. It's like having a winning lottery ticket and debating whether to cash it in. This is precisely where the parallels to Evan Bouchard become so striking, so compelling, and so relevant for the Maple Leafs. The Oilers selected Bouchard 10th overall in 2018. The Kings picked Clarke 8th overall in 2021. Both players, even without being granted top special teams reps or other prime opportunities, managed to put up impressive point totals, showcasing an innate offensive instinct and a natural ability to generate offense from the blue line. They possess that rare vision and puck-moving ability that can transform a stagnant power play into a lethal weapon. Consider Clarke's performance during the 2024-25 season. He generated a remarkable 33 points despite being limited to just 78 regular season games and a modest average time on ice of 16-17. To put that into perspective, he ranked 7th on the Kings in power play time on ice at a mere 147 per game, a figure closer to defensive forward Philip Denault's 123 than to the team's undisputed power play quarterback, Drew Doughty's 235. Imagine what Clarke could accomplish with an elevated role, with consistent top unit power play minutes, with the full confidence and encouragement of his coaching staff. It screams of untapped potential, of a player on the precipice of a significant leap, ready to explode onto the scene if given a chance. While it might not be as dramatic as Bouchard's explosion from 40 to 82 points after Tyson Barrie departed Edmonton, it is entirely reasonable to picture bigger and better things for Clarke. The signs are all there: the offensive talent, the draft pedigree, the underlying numbers that hint at a player ready to peak. If Holland is indeed being clever, he's playing a dangerous game, especially given what many perceive as a grimly poor first offseason for the Hockey Hall of Famer. This is not the time for subtlety. It's the time for the Maple Leafs to do their due diligence and float not just one, but multiple aggressive trade offers. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the one aspect that gives any general manager pause. Brandt Clarke, much like Evan Bouchard in his earlier years, does leave something to be desired defensively. Whether it's a penchant for taking too many chances and occasional lapses in judgment in his own zone, or simply a need to refine his defensive positioning and coverage, there are legitimate questions about his defensive game. But here's the critical point, the crucial distinction that often gets overlooked. These are issues that can be worked out, flaws that can be mitigated with proper coaching, strategic pairings, and experience. Even if he never becomes his Dino Char caliber shutdown defenseman, the good already heavily outweighs the bad, particularly when you consider his immense offensive upside and the modern NHL's emphasis on puck-moving blue liners. The Maple Leafs, crucially, are uniquely positioned to manage these defensive shortcomings. As noted by analysts, Toronto's roster is already teeming with reliable stay-at-home types. Players like Simon Benoit, who consistently put defense first and excel in their own zone, can provide the necessary stability and cover. Furthermore, if the Leafs were to acquire Clarke, they could pair him with veteran defensive anchors such as Chris Tanev or Jake McCabe, players renowned for their ability to shut down opposing offenses' block shots and cover for more offensively inclined partners. This strategic pair would allow Clarke to unleash his offensive creativity without constantly worrying about defensive responsibilities, creating a truly balanced and potent blue line that maximizes his strengths while minimizing his current weaknesses. It's a perfect synergy, a match made in hockey heaven. The window of opportunity for the Toronto Maple Leafs to acquire Brandt Clarke might be narrow, but is undeniably open, perhaps even wider than many realize. The Kings' apparent reluctance to fully commit to a player of his immense talent creates a unique, almost unbelievable situation, a moment of vulnerability that the Leafs must capitalize on. This isn't just about adding another defenseman. It's about acquiring a player who could fundamentally alter the team's offensive dynamics, especially on the power play, for years to come. The chance to bring in a right-shot blue liner with his offensive instincts still on a rookie deal is a rare gift in today's NHL, a true competitive advantage. The potential for him to blossom into a true star, a Bouchard-esque force in the back end, is too significant to ignore, too tantalizing to let slip away. The Maple Leafs have the assets, the cap space, and most importantly, the strategic pieces on their roster to integrate Clarke and allow him to thrive, to reach his full explosive potential. If the door on a Clarke trade is even slightly ajar, the Maple Leafs shouldn't just knock. They should kick that door wide open and seize this incredible opportunity with both hands. This could be the defining move that shapes their next era, the one that finally brings the ultimate prize back to Toronto. So, what do you think, Leafs Nation? Is Brandt Clarke the missing piece, the offensive dynamo on defense that Toronto desperately needs? Could he truly become our version of Evan Bouchard, leading the charge from the blue line and igniting our power play for years to come? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the Kings are making a colossal mistake by hesitating on such a talent? And should the Leafs go all in, pushing every chip to the center of the table to bring Clarke to Toronto? We want to hear your passionate opinions. And if you're as excited about this potential game-changing move as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all the breaking news, in-depth analysis, and spirited discussions on your Toronto Maple Leafs. Don't miss a single moment of this unfolding drama.